Hey everybody, and welcome to my comparison between the Sennheiser HD800s and Focal Clear headphones. Now before I get to the video, let me first lay down this quick disclaimer. The thing is, I have a funny feeling that some of you watching this video right now aren't too familiar with what I do here at Zero Fidelity, so to just bring you on the up and up, basically this channel is dedicated mostly towards the traditional side of the hi-fi listening experience. I'm talking about dedicated loudspeakers, amplifiers, that whole thing. I don't really go over headphones too often, and I only mention this because in this video, the bulk of my focus is going to be on how the Sennheisers and the Focals sound. I'm not going to go over things that I know a lot of headphone enthusiasts really like, which is going over the boxing material and the type of cables that come with the product and all that different stuff. Instead, I want to focus mostly on how the products sound. That way, by the end of this video, if you're cross-shopping each model, you're going to have a pretty good idea as to which one is the best fit for you. So with that being said, let's get to the review. Alright guys, so here they are, and to kick off this comparison, I first want to go over some very basic information about both headphones. Details that I'm pretty sure just about all of you would like to know. So first and foremost, let's just take a look at them. And in my hands are going to be the Sennheiser HD800s. Now these headphones are both designed and made in Germany, and as you can tell, they have a very matter-of-fact industrial design. I mean, totally German, very purpose-built. Whereas over here, we have the Focal Clears, which are designed and made in France. And true to their stereotype, this has more of a lifestyle aesthetic to it, something that you likely wouldn't be embarrassed to be seen wearing in public. Now to kick off the details, first let's talk about price. So the Sennheiser HD800s retail for roughly $1,699 US, whereas the Focal Clears retail for roughly $1,499 US. Now I'm going to skip going over information like impedance and materials and all that just because there's really no point. This has been done to death. The only thing that I want to comment on is as far as ruggedness is concerned, I do feel like the Focal Clears are built to a slightly higher standard, if for nothing more than the fact that at least the driver is protected here by this grille, whereas on the Sennheiser HD800s, everything's pretty open and it feels like it'd be easy to really damage this this frame right here. So something worth noting, especially if you live in a particularly harsh environment or i.e. have a bunch of little kids around. Now, as far as comfort's concerned, I mean, honestly, guys, comfort is probably as subjective, if not even more subjective than sound. What you need to know is I have a pretty giant head, and to me, both headphones are actually relatively comfortable. Now, the Sennheiser HD800s are going to have an advantage in terms of having a bigger ear cup piece right here. So if you have a big head and big ears, these will definitely accommodate you a bit easier because the Focal Clears, they have more of a smaller place for your ears to go in, and that could be a problem for some people. Now, as far as materials are concerned, both of them use excellent soft touch materials. The Sennheiser HD800s use microfiber, and I think it feels great. I could wear these for hours on end, and my ears or the side of my head never feels like there's an inordinate amount of pressure on it. The only complaint I have is the very top here. It uses the same material, but for some reason it's thin right here, and this happens to be the exact spot where I feel like there's the most pressure on my head, and that does create a little bit of fatigue over time. Again, this is all subjective. You may not feel the same way. It's just something I noticed. Whereas the Focal Clears wear very differently. These have a heftier feel to them, yet despite that, and despite having what seems to be a stronger clamping force, they feel very balanced. When I wear them, there's no one spot that feels like there's just more pressure than another spot. So they're very comfortable over the long haul. These use a mix of soft touch materials, so we have memory foam here and a mix of leather and microfiber, especially along the top here. So these are very comfortable headphones to wear, provided you're not turned off by the small space here. So otherwise, enough about this boring stuff. Now let's talk about how they actually sound. All right, guys, so we're going to do something a little different for this section. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my conclusion first and then explain how I arrived to that conclusion. So first, let's talk about the Sennheiser HD800s. Between these two headphones, the Sennheiser HD800s are going to be the most audiophile solution. And by that, I mean they are the most true to the source. They're going to be the most transparent between the two. They're going to have the quickest and cleanest bass, the quickest and cleanest mid-range, and they just have a little bit more of this effortless clarity than the Focals will have. And what this means is that these headphones are going to be basically a direct conduit to whatever it is that you're feeding them. So if you have an excellent recording on excellent gear and you have a nice strong amplifier to go with these, then you're going to get great sound. But if you're listening on a low-powered amplifier and you're listening to horrible recordings, then there's a chance that you're not going to get the best listening experience, because these, at the end of the day, aren't designed to make everything sound pretty. They're designed to show you exactly what's going on. But nonetheless, I actually think that these headphones sound the most natural between the two. Now, moving on to the Focal Clears. The Focal Clears are going to be like this jack of all trades. I mean, they do the audiophile things incredibly well, but what's so special about the Focal Clear is the balance. And this was something that I was not expecting, because, look, I'm familiar with Focals, particularly their loudspeakers, and they've always had this voicing of, hey, look at me, look what I could do. And I was expecting that out of the Focals. I expected tilted up treble, and instead what I got was something incredibly balanced. Colored, yes, in a kind of beautiful way, but very balanced just the same. I mean, you had top end that's nice and expressive, but still smooth, still somewhat forgiving of poor recordings. You had mid-range that's nice and full, but not overdone. And then you have bass that's nice and punchy, but again, not overdone. Just everything is balanced, and you still feel like you're getting all of the things that you should out of a proper audiophile listening experience, which is why I think that these are like the proverbial audiophile jack of all trades. I mean, they're just a whole lot of fun to listen to across a very wide variety of recording material types, gear types, and just, yeah, they're just a lot of fun. So now let's go on about how I arrived to this conclusion. All right, so first let's get into the nitty and gritty about the Sennheiser HD800s. Are these absolutely neutral? Well, no. There's no such thing as a neutral speaker, period. When it comes to the coloration of the Sennheiser HD800s, I would say that they're on the slightly forward and thin side of neutral. The treble seems to be bumped up just a little. The upper mid-range, lower treble seems to be just a little bit thin. Not terribly so, but a little bit. It's detectable, especially when you start cranking up the volume. But otherwise, I would say it's a fairly balanced and linear sounding headphone throughout the rest of the mid-range and the bass in particular. It all seems to be pretty balanced. The bass is incredibly quick and articulate, which I think at first can throw people by surprise. I think a lot of people are used to bass that's a little bit exaggerated, and when you come to something like this, you may think that there's no cream filling, but once you get used to it, you're like, oh no, it's there. It's just you're not used to something that's really quite this articulate and matter of fact. Now, the kind of listening experience you get out of the HD800s honestly does depend a lot on the recording and on the gear. And I think this is pretty cool, because if a recording is going to be bright and edgy, then that's what you're going to get. If it's nice and warm sounding, like an old 50s jazz recording, then that's what you're going to get. And this is excellent because the HD800s is almost like a conduit for the electronic signal. I mean, it does such a great job of maintaining the integrity of the recording sound. And that is a virtue that, you know, I didn't think I would ever enjoy, but once you get used to it, I mean, it definitely becomes not only a useful tool, but it can become a excellent way to enjoy your music and to really get insights into what the artists were intending. Now, moving on. The Focal Clears. You know, they're not quite as spacious sounding as the Sennheiser HD800s. The Sennheiser HD800s kind of, you know, the sound takes place just outside of your eardrum, whereas the Focal Clears, it's almost like it's beaming it directly into your head. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's just a different way of doing things. So the Focal Clears definitely have more of a less spacious sound, more of a point source sound, but otherwise, as I said before, these have a warmer presentation. They definitely have a more robust sound. So especially if you're listening to like rock and roll or electronic music, the bass is going to be stronger. The mid-range is it's going to feel like there's just a little bit more heft going on there. The treble is going to be very expressive, but a little bit smoother than the HE800Ss, which becomes noticeable at higher volumes. And otherwise, I can't find too many faults with the focals in the sense that, again, they're just so freaking well-rounded and balanced. I mean, it's true what the reviewers have said. I mean, it's hard to find something to really take these to task on just because they're so balanced. If anything, I would say subjectively, tonally speaking, I do think the Sennheiser HD800s have the most natural tone. And I noticed this even on low fidelity sources, like, you know, talking to some friends on Skype. Their voices sounded quite a bit more natural on the Sennheiser HD800Ss versus the focal clears. With the focal clears, I was very much aware of the fact that I was listening to headphones. Whereas with the HD800Ss, I started to forget I was listening to headphones and was just enjoying the conversation. This is the same thing applied to the music listening experience. So anyways, guys, that's about it. And what I want to do is wrap up my thoughts on this whole experience. So let's get to it. Alright, so let me wrap up this whole thing by saying this. If I could only keep one headphone between the two, I'm going for the HE800Ss. And the reason why I'm doing this is because not only are they the most accurate and true to the source, but I like the way that they present music a little bit better. There's a spaciousness to the sound that more replicates what I experience in the real world. And plus, I feel like they are a little bit more tonally accurate and balanced sounding than the focal clears, but it's not without compromise. They're also thinner sounding than the clears, particularly in the upper mid-range. And the treble can get pretty spiky, especially on poor recordings, and this becomes very noticeable once you begin to crank the music. But because I listen at low volumes most of the time, and because I'm such a tone whore, my choice goes with the HE800Ss, which are more the consummate audiophile solution. But with that being said, the focal clears are still amazing headphones. They're like an 8 out of 10 in every way that you can objectively deduct the performance of a headphone. They're really good, and they're definitely for somebody who says, hey look, I want the audiophile listening experience, but I don't want to kill myself in order to enjoy something that's consistently pleasant to listen to. Well, that's exactly what the focal clears deliver on. They did a great job of balancing out that headphone. So anyways, guys, that's just my take on how these two headphones stack up. As always, thanks for watching, and until next time, peace. Alright guys, so I saved this section for the end of the video because here's the bottom line. If it wasn't for a retailer in New York City called Audio 46, then this review would have never taken place. And in fact, this is really a first for Zero Fidelity because normally when I receive products for review, they come either from the manufacturer or the distributor. This is the first time that a retailer has pulled product out of their inventory and sent it to me for evaluation. Now, as you can imagine, that retailer would love to have a plug at the end of this video, so bam! Here it is, mission accomplished. But here's the thing. When I was speaking with the owner of Audio 46, I said, you know what, we should do something special together and really just do something nice for our audience. So what we came up with was this. Basically, if you're watching this video right now and you see something on their website that you like, whether it's these headphones or any other product that they have, just send them an email or give them a call. Tell them that Zero Fidelity sent you, and they'll offer you a discount on whatever it is that you're looking at, or at least on the majority of the products that they have. Some products, I think, they just can't discount, period. But nonetheless, it's something that I thought would be cool for those of you who are watching this video. It's like a win-win. So it gives you a chance to own something new with warranty at a pretty cool price. It gives them the opportunity to make a sale. And you may be wondering, well, cool, Sean, but wait, what are you getting out of it? Are you getting something out of it? Did you just sell out? Well, the truth is, no, I'm not getting shit out of this. That's the honest-to-God truth. I decided, though, that the Sennheiser HD800s that they sent me, I really do like those headphones, so I'm going to keep them hostage. And you guys are actually finding this out at the same time Audio 46 is. I didn't tell them about this yet, but I'm keeping these things hostage until either A, they send me a family-sized pack of double stuffed Oreos. Yes, I'm a fatty. Or number two, that they order some really good pizza for me. As soon as they do that, I'll relinquish these headphones, but until then, they're going to stay with me, and that's going to be what I get out of it, is to spend just a little bit more time with something that I like. Otherwise, no, there's nothing monetary coming my way whatsoever. I just thought this is a cool opportunity to help everybody out. all the way around. Anyways, guys, that's just it. And for real this time, thanks for watching and enjoy the music listening experience. That was lame. Anyways, all right, peace.